Okay, this is the growth sprint collection. So this is something that you would use if you have a SaaS or some kind of company and you're looking to solve some growth problems. There are several sprints that you can run as you look at these generally. Um, it's essentially a playbook. These are not AI skills. These are more markdown files with some knowledge. Um, and if you're nonplussed, you don't know really where to start. This gives you some structure and organization. So it looks kind of like this. There are um, a couple of example. There's a tracking spreadsheet. Let me just make it look like Markdown here. And so you can track your sprints as you run them in days 1 through 7. There's 7 day sprints essentially. If you have a certain problem, you should be able to solve it within 7 days, and you can track it with this worksheet. You can follow the README. The README tells you what problems to solve, where to go. But when I opened up this spreadsheet, you could see sort of the playbook. There's offer construction, email sequence optimization, pricing validation, so forth and so on. So all the various problems that you might have if you're trying to grow. Um, Now, the inevitable question is like, how would I use this maybe with AI? Um, and so let's just kind of see what happens. So I'm sitting here in Cowork, but you could do this in Claude Code as well. I've got it looking kind of at the same folder. So this folder is the same as the one that I'm showing here. Um, in my editor, and I am kind of contriving an example here. I have a 7 day competitive positioning sprint I want to work through. So this presumes that you've already figured out your problem. I'll share the full sprint guide, more or less, I have in the folder. Then let's tackle days 1 through 4 together. My product is DeskWise Workspace Analytics for hybrid teams, 39 a month, about 480 customers. My biggest problem is that I sound like every other workplace analytics tool. When prospects ask why DeskWise, I don't have a crisp answer. So your positioning is the problem, and you're looking to get some help. Um, as we look back at the competitive positioning, let's make it look better. These are what days 1 through 4 would look like. Identify your real competitors. Here's the task. Here's what the deliverable would look like. Analyze their messaging. Find the gap. Find your only we statement. So that's essentially the problem that we're trying to solve. So let's just see what Claude would do with this. I'm going to turn it loose and let's see what it's said here. Okay, so it's looking for the files. Mm, It's read through the full 7 day sprint. Before we dive into days 1 through 4, I have a few questions so that I can be most useful. Let's see what they are. How much competitive research have you done? Do you have a list of competitors in mind? Let me just say I have a rough list. What format do you want deliverables? I would always probably choose Markdown. Should I visit competitors' websites live using the browser, or would you prefer you tell me about the messaging based on what you've seen? But I think it might be fun to just visit them live. All right. And the direct competitors have a list over here. Let's just say Envoy, Robin, Space, and Space Q. Are there any adjacent tools like project management? Let's just say, actually, I'm just going to paste some of these answers in here in lieu of that, just to speed things up and send it running. Okay, and it's got its to-do list. So it's building the competitor map right now. Eventually, we'll get to days 2, 3, and 4, and then a final review once it's done doing its processing. And just looking at the steps that it's choosing to take, so it looks like it is doing some lookups and research in parallel. And it looks like it is having trouble finding some of these pages. So mileage may vary based on accessibility. But it is writing a competitor map right now. And so that would be step one. Uh, as soon as it gets done writing that, we should be able to just take a look at it. I could see already in my file system, it's creating the map right there. We'll take a look at it. I wonder if it'll give me a link. Looks like it's just saving them out. This website. Actually, while it's working, take a look at this competitor map that it's prepared for us. So there's the competitor map. So it's looking at Envoy, Robin, Office Space, Space IQ, and the adjacent ones, and the manual steps, and coming up with essentially a quick reference. All this, I guess, ladders up to the positioning. Oh, and somewhere out of view, it's actually using Claude. Sorry, it's using Claude in a website. So I don't actually see anything on my desktop calling up Claude, but I'm sure that's happening. And this little thumbnail is actually changing. Let's see, can I actually go there? I don't wanna disrupt it. Uh, but you get the idea. Um, it's off doing some of the legwork, but we needed to provide essentially the playbook for it to use. And each of these things is being used by, the successive step is using the previous steps deliverable. So there's a little bit of a supply chain, to get to day 4, we need to have completed and delivered, days 1 through 3 to get there. So We're doing a lot of web research here. Okay. We were starting to write the report. It looks like um, right here, and that will appear probably right here under day two. As soon as we get that written, we'll take a look at it. And then it'll move to three. And then probably what I'll do is I'll end up pausing so that we don't have to kind of go through this in this video. And I'll surface back up when it's done. Of course, you'll experience nothing. No time lost in between. It'll just roll straight to the end. Okay. Looks like we have got the file is there for two. I'm waiting for this to close in. So it says it's done with two. It's moving on to three. Okay. So we're starting to get to what does Envoy say? We're starting to get to the messaging grid. What are all these people saying that are our competitors so we can understand what it is they're saying, what should we say, what is actually the consensus default in the market, and then most importantly, probably are going to be like, what is nobody is saying? Hopefully, we're in the space occupying the white space of what nobody is saying, but we could say. But I'm not sure if that's how it's going to land. Let's see. Day three gap analysis. It looks like it's actually completed day three. So we'll take a look at the gap analysis. Give this a better look. Uh, Gap analysis, the market's blind spots. Gap one, team level insights for hybrid collaboration. Gap two, built for the 50 to 100. Gap three, gap viability ranking, excess, etc. So it is basically coming down with what are we what are we mapping to? Who's the relevant buyer? What seems to be kind of the strongest area? Maybe kind of a blue ocean kind of thing. So, what is the recommended positioning? The intersection of gaps one and three, DeskWise as the workspace analytics tool that helps hybrid teams collaborate, not just manage space cheaper. Gap two, company size reinforces, etc. You can see that this is an interesting kind of positioning that's developing. And I know we're 13 or so minutes into this video, but imagine if you had no playbook, you had no AI to help you. Where would you be after 13 minutes? And would something like this at least give you something to think about as you take this deliverable set and move forward into your own whatever taste? You're leveraging your own experience with some legwork that a very, very smart and productive intern gave you probably in like 15 minutes. Let's see here. Um, we're on the last step, day four, and then probably we're going to get a spit out of the whole review of the final thing. And let us just hang in there for a little bit longer, and then we'll see where we land. And obviously, this is being recorded in early March 26, where we have Opus 4.6 available to us. This is Cowork. It could be Claude Code. I don't see any reason why Claude Code wouldn't work exactly like this. I know not everybody has Cowork at the moment. but I expect everybody to have co-work on the various Claude plans. So I'm just going to uh, do it this way. Um, probably an office worker would be more likely to work in co-work than Claude Code. Claude Code would be in the terminal. This is an app on a Mac that is much more easy to navigate, probably to a less technical crowd. But okay, trying to figure out what else to say on this while we wait. I can't tell how much longer it's going to be. I'm waiting for whatever is day four. I can't. The only we statement. This is very critical. Like it's gone through. It's figured out what is the competitive map, analyzed the competitor messaging. It's identified positioning gaps, and it had in day three suggested some areas that we might position for. And in the fourth report, it is actually going to help us try to make a decision, like recommend what is it that only we can do. Now, granted, this is a very contrived example. I've given it like not really much here. It just doesn't know much about who we are. I would expect that if you had a real company, you would have much more context and detail to provide it. And the result would be pretty interesting to you. Let us see if we ever get there. You can just see just on the right here, just looking at how Claude works just real quick. It has referenced the these files, so it's completely adhered to the guidance of what we were trying to get to. Days one through four, as well as tried to look at the Claude MD file, and then what is the extra context? It's gone through and done some web research, and then it's also used Claude in Chrome to crawl through some sites to get more context. So this is what it's working with. We provided this. It's gone off and found that, and this is the task list that it's been working on task for quite a while. It's taking all of day one, two, and three's deliverables to work through four. Once it gets through four, I would expect we'll get four's file landing right here, and then we'll get a final review and verification kind of narrative that will just display out right here. Oh, it's going to hang in just a little bit longer. It would be really useful if it would tell me that it's on the report and how many characters it's written, but I'm not seeing that. I expect that we'll get to that point pretty soon. All right, I'm back. I did pause recording just to see what was going on, and I stopped the chat that was down here, and then immediately I saw this. So something was going on with Claude. It was just taking too long. Anyway, it summed up. It said, got solid research on all four. And then it talks about day one and day two and so forth and so on. And eventually now it says, now for day four, the only we statement, it just wants to interview us for a second. So really the question is, uh, does DeskWise currently show team level overlap data? Like which team members are in office on the same days and whether collaboration patterns are improving? I'm just going to say partially because that's a fictional company, and it looks like it has bombed out. So I'm going to just say continue to day four. I just want to point out, in case anybody's wondering, this is Claude. This is not uh, the growth sprint product itself. We are just trying to use AI with the guidance and roadmaps there. So let's just see if we can get it to finish with day four and continue. It gives us the familiar working on it. It's going to ask us a question, it looks like. I wonder if it'll be the same question. Okay, yeah. So I'm just going to say partially, and just as I tried to do earlier. And so now it's moving forward on day four. And at least it's giving us some encouraging news as it creates its day four report that is currently writing. So I think delivery is imminent. This long video, still long, but coming to an end. Let us just see what it comes up with. Okay, day four has appeared, and see what we've got going on here. So day four's tasks is done. Day five, it's verifying. While it's verifying, let's have a look at what this looks like in the editor here. Close out of everything. Okay, so day four, here is kind of the payoff, the only we statement. We're the only workspace analytics tool that shows hybrid teams, whether they're in office days or actually working. So team leads at growing companies can stop guessing about schedules and start seeing which days produce real collaboration. So essentially, you get the deliverable for day four right here. And that is all that has all laddered out from days one, two, and three's deliverables. And so here it has kind of recounted. It's given us links to each of these so that we can take a look, but we've already sort of cheated because we saw them appear in our folder. Let's see, what can it say? The big insight across the sprint, every competitor is selling space optimization to enterprise facilities teams. Nobody's answering the question your buyer actually has. Are our hybrid days bringing the right people together? So I realize this is not everybody's problem to solve. This is a fictional company. I'm just giving you a little bit of the journey for how this thing, how this sprint framework in conjunction with AI helps you get to a positioning. And whether you use it or you don't, you're probably 25 or 30 minutes invested in, and maybe this propels you into some other uh, positive direction, but you've got a really strong head start. And you had a methodology that's behind you. And essentially, that's what the Sprint collection product is trying to help you do. So, hope this helps. Sorry it went so long. Cheers.